Hello and welcome people to The Fallen Grounds, episode 3. Or the other way around. So, you see that one thing there? It's important to take that one out because it carries one of those thingamajigs. Unless you do it now, it's really easy to miss it. Simply because right after this section, a cutscene kicks in, and that's like the only gripe I have with this game. Whenever a cutscene kicks in, if an upgrade is floating to you, it's never going to reach.
Ouch.
So you have to time those correctly, and there are quite a couple of those that are going to screw you out of getting them.
Where's Derpy?
You will see Derpy eventually.
Good. He's the best character.
Yes, technically, Derpy is within us.
He's
We
within
are
all
the
of
lead.
us.
Yes. If you have trouble with, if you're just beginning the game and if you have trouble with anything like avoiding, hitting or whatever, just go full on. Just go full on glide wing. You're not gonna get the highest scores, but you'll eventually get everything. It's basically kind of like a dummy wing, and the base wing is basically all around decent, but doesn't excel at anything. So it's also the only form that doesn't change when it levels up, which is kind of weird. I guess they want to keep it consistent for the FMVs, but at the same time, he's 10 times bigger in the FMVs.
Well, he can change shape at will.
Yes, he can, but he doesn't become bigger. The mass just goes into other places, as you see here.
I'm pretty sure if he can completely change his shape, he can become bigger.
Like he's full of air inside.
Totally.
Considering the type of creatures there are, that's not impossible.
Man, your action gauge fills really fast in this game. Look at how many turns you're getting in a row.
I mean, yes.
I mean, isn't that a little broken? I mean, come on now.
Oh, and also, regardless to what what dragon form you are entering into most of the cutscenes, they'll always show you on this dragon. I believe those cutscenes are either pre-rendered or something along those lines, because they use some sort of weird motion blur in them. Like, the entire game runs at super smooth 60 frames a second, which I of course cannot show because this is on YouTube. But the cutscenes run at like 20.
Ouch.
Which and they have a lot of weird motion blur. I guess it can also be because they want to, you know, like render their faces and everything, which they do a good job with that. Orta, while she doesn't say much, she's very expressive in her facial expressions do say more than words, which is one of this game's main strengths whenever it does storytelling without saying a word.
Whereas the other games was a lot of words and no facial expressions.
No, the other games, as in the other Panzer, Dragoon rail shooters, where not a lot of words and hard to describe features. In any case, on harder difficulty, those guys are kind. In order to go to the good route, you're gonna have to go to this one. Oh, and something I'm gonna note, in this playthrough, I'm going through all of the in most cases I'm going through the better route, as in the more difficult one, with one exception. because the quote-unquote easier route is so much more impressive. Just because of that. And those octopus creatures are kind of funny, actually. Whenever you hit them, they shoot out lasers. Those lasers do not do a thing to you, and they will never attack you unless you first attack them. Like for example, that octopus there, because I've never hit him, he would never get engaged in the combat until I first attack him.
So what I'm hearing is that you're demented.
Exactly.
Great. God,
But
do this. Freaking Orta.
But the heavy wing is the way to go here. You can do it with the base wing, but it's a lot more. It's a lot harder.
Oh my God! It exploded into chunks.
Yeah, like in Saga, you know, continuity.
Jeez.
And here is a actually a pretty cool section. Immediately turn back and start shooting with the heavy wing. Thankfully, the Berserker aims itself to a certain degree, so it's not that hard to defeat this guy. But yeah, you're gonna want to go with this one because there is simply not enough time. The glide wing would work, but only if you had it upgraded very greatly. I don't do that. Don't do that much because the only things that really get upgraded is not the power. It's actually the amount of lasers and the duration of Berserker. Now with the glide wing, I'm not gonna use the latter one, and since actually. The rate of, in case of the glide wing, the rate of fire gets increased as opposed to the amount of lasers. So yeah, basically I don't really need to focus on that one. I would much rather put it into the heavy wing, which will get. Which, by the way, the heavy wing does not get a laser upgrade every time it levels up. Every other time it levels up, it's gonna get another laser. But it's gonna get an increase in Berserker every single time. And as you can notice, maybe the Berserker gauge for each form has a different thickness depending on their form, depending on their level. Like for example, heavy wing right now is already pretty well upgraded, whereas the glide wing, as you see here, he has a thinner one, and the base wing has the exact same one as the glide wing. Oh, and here is a freak out. In fact, not a single one of those is going to attack you. They want you to waste your Berserker on this one.
No.
Nope. I played this way too many times.
And yet you can't get S ranks.
Shut up, Stan. Like you see here, the motion blur and that happy face. And here is the longest boss fight in the fucking game. It's annoying as all hell.
It's a barely constructed mecha.
Yes. But it's fully functional, sadly.
How?
Don't ask me. Basically, if you want to use Berserker, use it very early in this fight, because afterwards this guy it changes position very fast. you can destroy all of its individual parts, like his decorations on his shoes and stuff like that. But it only adds it only really adds up to your score. And if you don't care about that, then don't bother. Because
He used onslaught on you.
no, he actually sends like little satellites.
But they were like these blue blade thingies.
Oh, the ones in the back? Yes, actually, yes. And if you went to the other route, which I'm going to be showing on the other playthrough of this game, you're actually going to meet enemies that use similar tactics. In fact, you cannot attack him from the back. He's just going to reflect everything back at you.
Ouch.
Not immediately though, but he gives you like a very clear I'm going to shoot you, you better move to the other position. Yeah, and just for turning positions, it's good if you get into the habit of turning to the glide wing just for doing that, because then if you fuck up, you still have a chance to redeem yourself.
Doesn't he die?
Oh yes, yes, yes. I said it is the longest boss fight in this entire game.
Look at that, all his parts fell off. How is he alive?
He's still
But now
going.
but thankfully now you can attack him from any side. And it actually gets pretty funny around this part. He's way too cool to look at you.
Look at that strut. He doesn't care.
And here that was actually the first time I ever tried to go in front of him. I had no idea he would actually jump. Normally I just go back and, you know, back and forth. But there doesn't seem to be any optimal strategy. I guess going to the front is optimal since you can attack him into on his weak point, which is his face. Which is weird because you would think his wang would be the weak point.
I'd figure the frickin' scrawny limbs he has would be his weak point.
No, you cannot. Not really.
Why not?
And look at this. Not damaged.
Go away. And then he just kind of...
And
okay,
then...
over dramatic much.
Why didn't he explode?
Because explosions in this series are a constant mix of disappointment.
Not all of them.
Just like you're a constant mix of disappointment in those rankings.
Danke, Stan.
I mean, first you... Go on.
Here is another FMV where you can clearly see how big the dragon is and how Orta is small. Like, look at this. She rides him like a freaking convertible, whereas in the gameplay she rides the dragon like a motorcycle.
The hills are alive with the sound of music.
And this thing is actually, I think it's called Latrum, and it's a gigantic flying worm. It's almost, it's like a flying island. It's a boss from Saga. And the people we're gonna meet here are worm riders. Now, this is actually a pretty interesting development in this game's world building, because never before were there people who would tame monsters.
How is there a river on the back of this thing?
Sweat.
Ew. Ugh. no subtitles for that.
No, no, no.
Mr. Rubio.
And he's totally high.
He
I love
looks
him. No, he has a pipe.
Elementary Remy. Ode di noc pur protobio bromai.
Thank you for telling me about myself.
Ti daru kaumuni no. Ti de seda.
Look at that sad face.
Yeah, sounds like something a stoner would say to her. No, we were that in the last game.
Mire adelante. Tusuenta. Benia playa.
Oh my god.
I love this guy.
Wow. Pretty straightforward. Oh my god, people stoned out of their minds don't laugh this hard.
Your three other wives would disagree with you.
He is high on life.
Good for him. At least he's happy.
Ah.
Code Empiricus Omninoscala. Yeluba est laus, laus. Cor nimus metaschema proto. Tum es las dinterger. Nortares intasmenta.
Too bad we don't get a single cutscene of that.
Bye.